Hi, I'm David Esrati. The theme of my campaign is truth to power. And the truth is, Mike Turner shouldn't be in power. Mike Turner shouldn't be on the House Intelligence Committee. And Mike Turner shouldn't be defending Donald Trump. But that's exactly what we have. This November 8th, you get a choice between Mike Turner, who's been a congressman for 10 terms, who's backed by billionaires, who never has a town hall, or me, David Esrati, who's been fighting for open, transparent meetings in this city for over 2.5 decades. In fact, probably the thing I'm best known for is when Mike Turner had me arrested in the city commission chamber just for donning a mask in protest of his secret illegal meetings of the Dayton City Commission. That ran 2.5 years in the courts. He lost every step of the way. He's a lawyer. He doesn't seem to know the law. He doesn't seem to understand what's important, what's not. What he does understand is who feeds him, which is the military-industrial complex. This thing with the Mar-A-Lago search by the Justice Department and the FBI is kind of interesting because I filed a lawsuit against the Justice Department and the FBI last year. It's been dragged through the courts with 3 federal judges recusing themselves before the 4th one just tossed it. But the questions that I was asking were about real election tampering, not imagined election tampering like Donald Trump states. Mike Turner hasn't taken an iota of interest in the fact that Commissioner Joey Williams was an informant for the FBI and CIA, or the FBI and the DOJ, and had been caught committing a crime in office. The crime was accepting a bribe to have a patio built, and then he went on wearing a wire to set up a company with a FBI informant named Mike Marshall and my friend Brian Higgins and Roshan Winburn to try to set up a company called Airborne Demolition or something like that in order to get contracts for federal money to tear down homes in Dayton. Roshan Winburn was taking literally bags of cash. Roshan Winburn didn't go to prison even though he was sentenced to it. He got house arrest. Joey Williams went to prison for a year, served 3 months, and walked. The other person involved, Brian Higgins, got 3 years. Nothing to do with any of this. He got nailed for mail fraud on an insurance claim, which is a civil matter. And he went for 3 years. We have different standards of justice, but the idea was that I found most offensive is that only black people were indicted on the original round. And then we saw Joyce Cameron, the former mayor of Trotwood, and her husband. And finally, Steve Roush, who paid a measly $15,000 fine and continued. Mike Turner took no interest. He took no interest when I filed a FOIA request to get the tapes that were played to the grand jury of Nan Whaley that made her sound like she was part of it too. The FBI and the DOJ have covered up the fact that Willis Blackshear Sr., who's now deceased, our former county recorder, was the bag man for Nan Whaley. And I've asked for a FOIA request on those files, and they said they didn't exist. But oops, they'd unsealed a warrant 3 weeks after I filed my case. These are real crimes. And so are the crimes that Donald Trump did, where he took records that were classified to his home in Mar-A-Lago and was told multiple times to turn them back over. They got a search warrant signed off by a federal judge. They executed the search, and it became apparent today that, yes, there were classified information documents there, including stuff that was compartmentalized that should never have left a SCIF. A SCIF is a secure compartmentalized information field. It's basically a top secret room where nobody goes in or out unless they've been cleared. Donald Trump wasn't trusted by the Intelligence Committee from day one. In another article in the New York Times today, they talked about his behavior led to such mistrust with intelligence agencies that officials who gave him classified briefings occasionally erred on the side of withholding some sensitive details from him. They didn't give him paper documents. He didn't like to read anyways, but they would give him an oral briefing. And they had good reason. They saw him as a security risk. And why shouldn't they? During an Oval Office meeting with top Russian officials just months into his presidency, Mr. Trump revealed highly classified information about an Islamic State plot that the government of Israel had provided to the United States, which put Israeli sources at risk and angered American intelligence officials. Months later, the CIA decided to pull a highly placed Kremlin agent it had cultivated over years out of Moscow, in part of concerns that the Trump White House was a leaky ship. Yes, Donald Trump leaked information. Oh, but it gets more. It gets worse. August of 2019, Mr. Trump received a briefing about an explosion at a space launch facility in Iran. He was so taken by a classified satellite photo of the explosion that he wanted to post it on Twitter. Immediately. Aides pushed back, saying that making the high-resolution photo public could give adversaries insights into America's sophisticated surveillance capabilities. He posted the photo anyway, adding a message that the United States had no role in the explosion, but wished Iran the best wishes and good luck in discovering what caused it. As he told one American official about his decision, "I have declassification authority. I can do anything I want." That last sentence, "I can do anything I want," that's basically how Trump operated the entire time he was in the White House. The fact that the American public elected this buffoon, who literally said, "I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and get away with it," and also said he could go up to women and grab them right in the you-know-what, is beyond belief. But here's the thing. We have tape of Mike Turner from before Donald Trump was elected. And we're going to play some of that for you here in a second. It should be on the hyperdeck. Did you switch back the card to the first one? Okay, it's on there. We're going to play that back for you, where Mike Turner is basically saying Donald Trump has no business in office. And by the way, this is live and this is interactive. So if you've got any questions or comments or want to say hi, please send them in text. We can see them. I hope this connection's working out a lot better because we worked really hard to get it. Are you ready? We're going to run this clip of Donald and Mike.
Well, not only is it deplorable, it absolutely shows that Donald Trump is not qualified to be president of the United States or hold any elective office.
I mean, this is unprecedented, and in history, we have never seen two members of a president's administration order a raid on the president's political rival.
It goes to our Constitution, and it certainly shows that Donald Trump is not fit to hold office anywhere in this country.
Remember, President Trump has more classified material in his head than he's going to have in his desk, but yet they raided his home to see what he had in his desk. I think the American public won't answer.
It doesn't go to our Constitution, it doesn't go to our laws, and it certainly says something about his vision of America. That's not my vision of America. I don't think it's the American public's vision of America, and I certainly hope he is resoundingly rejected for having said these outrageous comments.
So, sorry about that lower third blocking some of the video. There were other examples of Trump just basically going off. Back in 2017, he used Twitter to defend himself against media reports that he had ended a CIA program to arm Syrian rebels, effectively disclosing a classified program to what were then his more than 33 million Twitter followers. This article, this is the one I remembered the most. Mr. Trump's efforts to undermine the assessment became a motif in the early years of his presidency, culminating in a July 2018 summit in Helsinki with Mr. Putin. During a joint news conference, Mr. Putin denied that Russia had any role in election sabotage. Mr. Trump came to his defense. Let me say that again. Trump came to Putin's defense. They think it's Russia, Mr. Trump said, speaking of American intelligence officials, and adding, "I don't see any reason it would be." Well, maybe that's because all along we've been fooled. Donald Trump is really a Russian agent. Makes more sense. Once you think about things that way, a lot of things make sense. This is a guy who didn't think there was anything wrong with in North Korea either. Trump said on Twitter, "The intelligence people seem to be extremely passive and naive when it comes to the dangers of Iran. They are wrong. Perhaps intelligence should go back to school," he wrote. and this man gets bonus points from American Jews for supporting Israel. Iran is one of Israel's most worrisome enemies who would love to blow Israel off the map. To all those people who are sending money to Mike Turner because he supports Israel, wake up. He supports Donald Trump. Donald Trump was no friend of Israel. Yeah, we moved the embassy. Not any big deal. Didn't change anything. What the real issue is, who are our enemies? And why are we cozying up to the Saudis now? So, Turner goes on the record saying, you know, never before, it's unprecedented that we go and raid the house of a former president who could be Joe Biden's next, opponent. Now, let me tell you something. I think it's unprecedented that a president has ever said, no, I won an election, which he did not, refuses to have a peaceful transition of power, spends ungodly amounts of time and energy trying to flip the election by illegally naming other electors. All those things leading up to come to Washington and march on the Capitol. That's the People's House, the Capitol, on January 6th. And they came, they did, and he wanted to lead them. And he was very disappointed when he couldn't go join the melee that we had there, when they were pushing down police barriers, beating cops senseless, breaking into the Capitol, and trying to hang the vice president and shoot Nancy Pelosi. I don't think I need to repeat that. President Trump is, by anybody's normal standards, contempt of his office, his duties, his oath, eligible for death by hanging for treason. And Mike Turner is defending him now. He himself, in that old interview, said he didn't understand our laws. Trump didn't this, Trump didn't that. That's why I support John Kasich, who didn't stand a chance in hell of getting on the ballot. So here he is, Mike Turner sending letters to the FBI director on official stationery, U.S. House of Representatives, Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, minority, of which he is the ranking member. That's his claim to fame. Saying, in the history of our country, this action is unprecedented. As the ranking member on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, I'm unaware of actual or alleged national security threat posed by any information, data, or documents in the possession of former President Trump. Mikey, maybe they don't let you see the top secret stuff either. Maybe you're not too bright, because anybody who stands there in front of the world and defends President Putin over the objections of his own intelligence committee, who tweets photographs of our top secret capabilities to the world, that man isn't fit to have any intelligence and information. Neither are you. They found material. They've got an inventory of it. Includes compartmentalized information. There's stuff that's even higher than anything I had ever heard of, and we're never going to see it in the light of day, and I doubt they'll even let you after your little performance. The reality is, there have been lawsuits against Donald Trump from the day he was popped out of his mama, and he's been screwing people left and right, and he screwed the American people, and he's lied to us, and he'll screw us again. And if you want to tie your horse to that wagon, you go right ahead. And by the way, anytime you're ready to debate, we can have a long conversation about your record, Mike Turner, of how you don't work for us, that you work for defense contractors. There's a reason 20 plus billionaires have donated to your campaign. How come I only get franked mail right before the election? I've gotten 2 pieces now franked from you. Stop wasting taxpayer money. Stop wasting your campaign money trying to pretend that you're something you're not. You are not our elected representative. You are your own little kingdom that thinks you can make decisions about intelligence information that you don't is way above your pay grade. You never served. You weren't willing to lay down your life for this country. I'm a veteran. I wouldn't want you in charge of information about a raid I was on, and I definitely wouldn't want Donald Trump. So, you want to start raising hell about something with the FBI, with the DOJ? Mike, you want to do that? Find out why they let Joey Williams, a convicted felon, run for office with an agreement to just resign if he did get reelected, which is what happened. You explain that, because that's election tampering. You explain how we can't get the tapes of Nan Whaley that were presented in the grand jury, even though the law says we can, but a bunch of Trump-appointed jurists have been playing kick the can down the road for the last year. Why don't you get those tapes for us so we can hear what Nan Whaley said in that grand jury? Because I can't believe that Joey Williams, where it takes 3 votes to get anything done in the city commission, did anything without conferring with Her Majesty, who's now another candidate, possibly working for the feds. And I want to hear those tapes. I think the public has a right to know. We have too many corrupt politicians. I think it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you are sick of these people, self-serving people, telling us that we have to work harder, that we aren't smart enough, or we didn't make enough effort so we can get the same health insurance that you get, or a decent pay for a decent day's work, or protections on the job. Those are things that are fundamentally American, not Republican or Democrat. The fact that people with diabetes are paying out the nose for insulin, and you voted twice not to give them an Affordable Insulin Act, those are things that are near and dear to my heart, Mike, and they're near and dear to a lot of people. And hopefully they'll see that it's time for a new sheriff in town. It's time for somebody who's going to work for the public and make sure that they can pay the same amount Canadians do for insulin instead of paying the people that pay off your campaign. I'll never have the money you have, but I will always know who I work for. I had to fill out the financial disclosure form today, and I got nailed on it by the Ohio Capitol Journal that I hadn't filled it out. Well, I filed with FEC. They never told me I had to do it. And when I contacted the House Ethics Commission, they said, oh, there was a little mix-up and we never sent you anything. So I filed it today, and I looked at this, and I said, there's no way in hell anybody can tell how much you're worth, where your money comes from, or anything else. I was honest on it. I don't make a ton of money. I spend a lot of money making videos and spending time writing about things that go wrong in Dayton, like the culture of corruption, like lawyers who get off over and over and over despite having sex with their clients and bilking them out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're still practicing law until I wrote about it. The Dayton Daily News doesn't do the job. They just got the article about Roshan in today's paper when I wrote about it on Monday, and it actually happened July 30th. We've got problems in this community, and Mike Turner isn't doing anything to solve them, unless you're a defense contractor who needs more money. Then he's there to help. So, I'd love to see some questions, and I'd love to answer some of them from you, but if not, that's okay. It's Friday. It's been a long week. Again, I'm really sorry about the technical problems. We've isolated what the problem is. It seems like we have 2 different routers going on in the same network, and that might be the problem, but we have 2 sets of internet, so we're on the other one, and the signal should be good. I had promised you a special guest yesterday. I'm glad that didn't happen because we wouldn't have been ready, but we're going to do that soon. He's going to come back and talk on camera. If any of you have subjects for me to cover next week, please drop them in the comments. If any of you want to be a guest and talk things over in front of me, we can do that too. If you know somebody who you think would be a good interview along with me, love to do that. There are lots of things I need to learn about in the community that I haven't been a part of. I try to get out in the community as much as I can. I try to do things that are helpful to let people know and inform them, because I think a well-informed electorate makes better decisions. One of the things I'd like to do is make sure that there is a verified voter information system where all the candidates take tests and answer their questions, take a survey and answer their questions, and you can answer your questions, and you can say how important they are, and you can see if they match up with your candidate to help you make choices. Because if we do move to ranked choice voting, where we get rid of this stupid two people picked in a primary, you're going to need more information than you have. I also believe in a donor registration system, so you can tell in real time who gave money to whom and why they're voting the way they are. Because every time you get down to why somebody voted, follow the money. Number one rule for journalists, number one rule for you. In fact, my rules generally has been, when I have to choose between two candidates, I look at who raised the least amount of money. And I generally think that's the underdog. That's the person that's working harder with less, and they probably deserve our vote. So we'll be back next Monday. We'll go every day at 4 o'clock, answer questions, everything else. If you've got questions about my platform or things about my campaign, or you want to donate, go to electesrati.com and feel free to donate. We got some great shirts. If you donate more than $100, you can get one of those. We're going to have a fundraiser soon, and I think I'm going to have some very special things to auction off. But because I don't believe in everything going to the highest bidder, anybody who has donated any amount will be put into a random pool to get one of the things that I'm going to be raffling off. And I'm holding back on what they are because it's not totally confirmed, but it's looking pretty good, and they will be worth quite a bit and very cool things to have. So we're working on that. If you'd like to volunteer with the campaign, go knock door to door, go sign up on the website, subscribe on electesrati.com so you get a weekly newsletter. I don't go every day at telling you the sky is falling. And make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit the notify bell so you know every time we go live. It's Friday. I want you to have an awesome weekend, and I will see you Monday. My name is David Esrati. I'm running for Congress, and I will never lie to you, and it is my hope that I can represent you as your next elected representative to the U.S. House of Representatives and serve this region of Montgomery County, Greene County, and part of Clark County. Thank you so much. We'll see you Monday.